And the first game, even though this series is a PSG.LGD favorite, that first game, I would say Optic hold themselves pretty well. I mean, Gods, you said LGD didn't play to the standard that you were expecting them to.
Yeah, I think particularly Ame had a very rough game, got picked off a lot. He had a tough lane, so you can kind of excuse him for having a bad start, but the deaths, getting solo killed by Storm numerous times, not LGD's best performance. When two players have to step up to win you the game, you're happy. You've got FY and maybe in your team. That's great. That's good news. You can win games like that, but it's also, you're not going to win every single time if certain players are underperforming.
You're not going to VDP like that. You need all 5 players to perform.
Exactly.
All right. So looking at the second game, Nahaz, any particular heroes you wish to see changed, banned out in the first phase? Because we do have the draft.
Honestly, I really do think that it came down to that 10th pick. That any other hero there, the other heroes that we were talking about, Drow Ranger, you can win that game. Anti-Mage, you can win that game. I think the Faceless Void pick was just so destructive in terms of what Optic's lineup needed to do. Black had me look this up, and according to the Dota buff stats from pub matches, the relative advantage of Void versus Weaver, it's so huge compared to any other hero.
I've not won the Weaver game against Void. Maybe like once. What happens though if you put offlane Weaver or something, he can go Axe and he's really good against Void. But his carry and mid Weavers, they can't face the Void at all.
Oh, interesting, the Dragon Knight ban. First phase from LGD.
From LGD?
No, from Optic.
From Optic.
What?
Optic bans.
Who knows?
No, LGD banned Dragon Knight. Am I reading this right?
No, Optic banned Dragon Knight.
Optic banned Dragon Knight. It says
Right side.
Optic Gaming on the right side.
But
LGD's
the banners are, but the banners are, okay, all right, I'm just confused.
Trust the banners.
Yeah.
Okay, that is LG, yeah.
So it is LGD.
Yes.
The Chen ban, I mean, both teams play Chen, so I think that's a bit
got
confusing.
debated. All right, so Bane first pick
They were
for
just testing us.
LGD.
This is going to be interesting. This is going to be a test because Optic has been much better drafting with first pick. I'm interested to see how they will do as second pick against LGD.
I'm interested to see how they do if they can't get DP or DK. So
Yeah,
we just saw
yeah.
it. And CCNC is so comfortable on these heroes.
Yeah, and the other ones that we've seen him on recently, the Razor has been a step down in the meta, and the Kunkka does not feel nearly as good.
The way he fits into this team is he's much better when he's on those more sacrificial heroes. Like, yeah, he's actually a great Storm player. He's a really good Lina player. He plays these heroes very well. He plays them on pubs, but for me personally, I think Optic look better when it's Pycat and 33 on the flashier game-winning heroes.
I agree with that point, although I would put up Lina as the exception to that rule.
Sure.
I think his Lina is that good, but I agree with the general point.
I mean, picking Lina is quite hard now, though, in this
Oh,
meta
it
right
is,
now.
it is.
It's
She's a fourth pick at best, probably
Way
fifth.
too squishy.
He can play Leshrac mid. That's a nice kind of secondary carry hero.
Yeah.
That's interesting because that's something that Optic has avoided. 33 Clockwork is okay, but this Clock Lesh combo, it's generally going to be, they generally want Zai on the Lesh. And Zai is their best Clockwork player.
Or we could see Zion Clock in the mid Lesh.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't like Clock offlane. I feel most of the carries just do too well against him.
Okay, but that said, I think Clock offlane is better in a situation like we talked about with 33 and Zai, where 33 can have his impact early and then sit back and let Zai have most of the farm as the game goes on. And exactly as you saw in the last game, he transitions into a core Leshrac.
No, what I'm talking about is more like the position 3 Clock that actually gets farm and stuff.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's very underwhelming. With like, Clock with items is good, but not good enough.
Oh man, you want to talk about classic? Okay, so Naga, Naga into Mirana, but Bane Mirana. This is a classic combo.
Naga's tagged out. Bane gets tagged in for game number 2.
What do you think? Why didn't they pick up Naga first, but rather the Bane?
I think Bane was banned last game, right? It was third banned by one of the teams.
You are correct. They
So
actually
they prefer
banned it
Bane
out
over
themselves.
Naga then?
Perhaps preferred. It's also like, let's stick with this Mirana idea, but do something a little bit different.
I also think a lot of the Chinese teams, they just feel a lot safer picking Naga first phase as second pick, so that you know you're going to get that hero with it, as opposed to first pick.
And they also still can pick the Naga. It feels like there's a bit more
True, that's
flexibility with other options for that 4-position role. So if the Naga gets banned, they're not in too much of a pickle, but the Bane as a 5 just feels like the best 5 position.
Yeah, I'm just a bit nervous for the Bane, because Clock is really good against Bane. If he ever gets on top of you, then you're kind of like you're not a hero, basically.
Yep. See, Visage banned, and if
banned.
last game's anything to go by, they'll also ban Lycan here.
Yeah, 3-3 lost his Visage.
Yep.
10 seconds
Offlane
remaining.
Visage.
We'll play mid as well, some games.
Right,
But yeah.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
flexible with
Actually,
the
whenever
line.
a team picks DP, they instantly snap pick the Visage.
Yeah.
It's like a hard counter for them to DP in some some sort.
Previous game, Optic had to ban out Slark and Omni-Knight in the second game. Now they can only ban out one of the two, if they even go for any of them.
You know,
Any preference?
LGD do like their Omni Bane combo. They've run that.
Yeah. Slark doesn't seem amazing right now versus these two heroes.
No, especially well, unless you can pick something that will push the Leshrac into a guaranteed support role.
Yeah. Which could pretty much only be the Nyx.
Yeah,
10
which LGD
seconds
do
remaining.
run, but again, then now you have to put FY on it, and I don't know.
I like that LGD is sticking to this Mirana pick. It's
I do
like
too.
your new patch, new tournament, secured TI spot. Keep picking this throughout the tournament and just see how good it is. Because, yeah, you won one game with it. That doesn't prove this is a first two pick worthy
Yeah.
hero. Let's find out, is what LGD is saying. They're going to keep picking this Mirana until it starts looking bad.
Yeah, and even like make people respect it, even ban it first
Yeah.
phase if it works out really well.
Oh, yeah. If you go like 4-0 with it and suddenly you're in like the top 4 of this tournament and you're in like a semi-final or something, teams are like, well, got to ban the Mirana.
Yeah, well, first Mirana every time.
And
Maybe you
even-
should do it too, and then they feed.
even for TI, just expanding their arsenal. You gotta
Absolutely.
have all the tools in your toolbox available. Ideally, which is never ever the case, but at least make it as wide as possible.
And so after this tournament, there's going to be quite a while without any tournaments, right?
Yes.
There's one BTS.
There's
It's
the-
TI
I believe.
qualifiers, hello, like the
Of
biggest
course.
tournament
No,
of
but
the
I
year.
mean like for the teams
For
that
LGD.
qualified.
Yeah,
for the
sure.
top
So,
eight.
so that
yeah.
means there's a lot of patches, but without any tournaments. So
They did say that they were gonna have one patch, I think, after this.
And then one
event,
after TI
and then
qualifiers, I
probably
think.
one
Yeah.
after qualifiers,
that's it?
and then that's it. And then
And they're
so
going back to a slower patch cycle next year.
Yes.
Thank God.
Right.
Uh,
I
so
thought it was
there is
after
a-
TI, but it's after the qualifiers then.
after the qualifiers, they said that they would let it rest for a bit. And then there's obviously a summit, as you mentioned, which is I think the only tournament so far planned in between.
So they do go back for the
Yeah,
Kunkka.
there's the CCNC Kunkka.
It's really good against Mirana though.
Yeah.
You can never leap out, and it's just, even if you do the like X mark into boat combo, you can leap out, but you will get stunned. You'll still get hit by it.
Yeah. Like last game, this Mirana was picked up first 2, and they just didn't address it. It reminds me of what Quinn said after they lost against
Yeah,
the
the
Lycan
Lycan.
in game 1. He was like, they first picked this Lycan, and then we picked some Warlock, and we never countered this first pick hero, which just won them the game. What were we thinking? Same thing. LGD first picked the Mirana here, counter the hero with something.
Kunkka is very good for it. They don't even have to put it mid. Like their lanes right now,
Yeah,
they can do whatever they want.
and that's something that Optic has shown in the last couple times they've run Kunkka. They've shown that they're willing to rotate CCNC into the side lanes with a Kunkka, and he does quite well.
But do we see them swap them around into a 4 position now?
Hey,
That's the
Ah,
beauty of
that's
the
what I
pick. You
wanna
can
see,
swap it
baby.
around.
And then they pick an Ember
Oh.
mid because Ember right now is crushing them.
Is Ember the Kunkka counter?
That's actually
For me,
scary.
every time there's a Kunkka, it is a very good Ember game.
why is Ember a Kunkka question?
Well, because you can never really X-Mark combo him. He can dodge it with W, he can dodge it with Remnant. And just even in lane, Kunkka is quite scared of Ember because of the Flame God. He can't take it off at all.
It does. I feel like the 4 position Mirana is a bit underwhelming in terms of what it gives you, but if you can get a better mid matchup,
Yeah.
if your mid's going to be countered, it may just be worth dumping on the support role.
I think they will fourth pick an Ember if Optic doesn't address it now with their next pick.
And again, when we talked about how LGD drafts in the open, I mean, they are willing to sacrifice so much. They're willing to sacrifice subpar 3 through 5 matchups in exchange for favorable core matchups in their 1 and 2.
yeah.
I think what's going to happen, if this Mirana's position 4, they want to have a safe lane setup they already have with the Bane, and then they want to have a mid hero like the Ember, like another setup for the arrow.
Yeah, and about to say,
Still.
I was just
Oh,
gonna say, you
there
could
you
have
go. Or you go
like a
Naga.
Naga and have an offlane setup. Like you could have a Naga Mirana dual lane. Mirana could be played as a 3 position even.
He can do anything other
So
than fight.
flexible.
You are making this Mirana hero sound very good to me
Yeah.
right now, I gotta say.
He does not want to be
I'm a
position
Mirana
5.
player. you
I know.
Look how much
Every
fun they're
panelist
having
will
on that
always
pick.
go to bat for the
For the
heroes
hero
they
that
like.
they love, yeah.
You hear Black talk about Answer, to hear Blitz talk about Storm.
And you hear me scream like a little girl every time Invoker's picked. I
Yeah.
mean, that happens.
I like Mirana, I like my Visage, and it feels good, but there's a lot of weaknesses. The hero, when you're not playing in the core role, if you don't hit your arrow,
Position
you're
4 is all
garbage.
about arrows.
Yeah.
That's
It
why
just
you want to
feels-
have setups, but you have 2 good
But
setups
yeah,
already.
you have
Yes.
net and you have sleep. I
And
mean,
of course, people play offlane Naga too, especially
Yes.
newbie.
Yeah.
One of the main.
If they're going to run the Mirana Naga as a duel in the offlane, I'd rather Naga as a core than
Really?
Mirana. Yeah,
I think so too.
because it's just scales. It gets more useful items for the team. A 3 position Mirana is not going to farm
What
enough
is-
carry items to
what
dish
does
out
Naga
damage.
build if you do that? Do you still build
Just get
radiance?
a
No,
No.
Meteor Hammer.
No,
These-
no,
yeah,
you build- yeah,
faster
fast
meteor
meteor hammer,
hammer,
okay.
Blink
faster
dagger.
blink dagger, whatever utility team items you need, you can get a mech for
Oh.
your team, a Greaves. Like,
So you're talking like a utility? I mean, can she build items like Crimson and Pipe? Like a
Sure.
Doom could?
If
Okay.
You
if
can
need
build
them.
anything.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Okay.
can build anything.
I'm
Whereas
down.
Mirana is a 3 position, doesn't really build anything.
Ember, let's
Ooh,
go.
Undying.
Dude,
Okay.
I want to see the Ember now.
I think it'd be sick.
I mean, we're hyping up this Mirana as a 3 or 4. It probably is just going to be mid Mirana.
Yeah,
but-
sure,
I
sure.
hope
But I
not.
actually was interested in the theory crafting discussion.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Undying, please.
Undying is just sick right now. He's such a bully.
I mean, he's really good, but he's also really good against Mirana. Because arrowing when all the zombies are out is hard.
Yeah.
Even if you have a setup, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Naga sleep, you put the tombstone down, it's still very, very disruptive because you can't set up your combos.
I will say it can go both ways, though. The first time at Birmingham that Peter took the tombstone on Death Talent, it looked really, really good. He'd just run into the fight, get a tombstone down, die, and you'd have 2 tombstones. The next couple of games he did it, though, it was like he was feeding an extra couple hundred gold every time he died.
Well, it depends on the lineup too, right? Right now they have no hero that deals with tombstone properly.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, I guess they have a...
Mirana's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, if it's a mid Mirana.
Well, with the
yeah,
lead.
So if
yeah.
it's a support Mirana, not so much.
No, it's could still be okay though with
Yeah,
it. But yeah,
it's still okay, of
You put
course, yeah.
yourself in a bad position.
Yeah.
It can still be a mid Mirana.
Yeah, it's
I just
more
wanna see
likely
the
mid
Ember.
Mirana. We're theory crafting
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
Please,
here.
Yeah,
please
yeah.
do the Ember, man. I want to see it. They have nothing, and it's maybe.
Oh, they got 20 seconds to decide
Oh,
what
it's
they
just-
want to
it-
do.
it's
The
so
little
hard,
coach,
though.
man, he's like, Ember, Ember, Humao,
It's so hard. Do you actually know what Ember is in Chinese? I love you, dude.
What is Ami playing a game like this? That's the other, I guess, question now.
Come on.
We still have a Slark in the pool.
Radiant team back. Drow
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
there's a
think-
reason they banned it. They
Maybe
must have
seen
scrimmed
it
him.
or
They must
something,
have.
yeah.
They must have scrimmed
Or
him.
heard
So it is
someone,
Drow,
Yeah.
Mirana core then.
Or Mirana 3.
'Cause
Because
it-
Mirana can play 3 very well with the
With the
Drow
Drow
aura.
aura,
Yeah.
And they can still go Ember.
And Ember Drow.
It's not good,
No, I don't think so.
but I love it.
It's probably mid Mirana.
Sorry,
It's probably
Vlad.
mid Mirana. And they will pick another offlane, like a team fighter, like a Brewmaster or something like
Puck
that.
gets banned. Puck's the one range team fighting hero. I think now you just go for a traditional team fighter.
Yeah,
Don't go.
Brewmaster or
You don't
Tide
need all
Hunter,
ranged.
something like that.
Are there any mid heroes if you did run offlane Mirana that kind of good team fighters that could fit that cap?
Puck?
Puck is banned.
Puck just got banned.
Oh.
Mid
Wait,
heroes,
Like Viper
Wind
maybe.
Ranger.
Wind Ranger is really good with Drow Ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very big damage increase. Or just go Ember Spirit.
Wind Ranger to offlane.
Ame has not played Drow Ranger in a long time, guys, by the way.
And the Brood last
Ah,
time.
good ban. Fantastic ban.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at the fourth, fifth, sixth ban from LGD. That is how you make
Yep.
Optic into from a tier 1 team to a tier 1.5 team. You take away those heroes and Optic's just not quite at the top yet.
Yeah.
And of course, Brood just completely destroys the Drow Ranger.
Yes.
You can't do anything.
Completely destroys most of those heroes, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the game that Optic proves that they are that tier 1 team.
Sure. I think they're close. I mean, they've got a big long-term in ahead of them, plenty of time to grow.
Oh,
It is offlane
my
Mirana.
I like that a
God,
lot.
this is so disgusting.
It is a bit greedy,
It's
though.
you know
It's
you said
greedy,
it was
but-
going to pick a spirit mid. It was just the
Yeah, I mean,
So
your
wrong
words.
spirit.
whether it's Ember or Storm, you know, they're
What
brothers.
do you pick as Optic?
You
You need Disable right now.
Cat hero with disable theoretically.
Maybe they'll pick the
Oh
Void.
my
Void, yeah,
lo-
Void
yeah,
seems
but even
Void is okay against Drow. It's not bad.
yeah, but they have 3 range cores with a Drow. Like, how many people are you going to be able to catch in Chrono realistically? Like
One.
it's- Yeah,
You just need
it's
one. You just need to kill
so-
one of those though.
Yeah.
You're okay with that. If
I mean,
you kill
what
the
else do they
storm or the
pick?
drow, you're fine.
Everything else is bad, honestly. Void is like the best pick they can do. Phantom
PL.
Lancer.
No
I mean, it's good against
It's a gap
Drow,
closer.
but
Yeah.
Honestly, if you get
I don't know
late
about the
game with
rest of
PL,
them.
if you get to late game with PL, they win.
sure, if you get to late
They,
game.
they cannot deal with this. But
But
Drow Ranger, as we said, 5-man push very early.
I mean, I guess
be rough for the
Drow's aura kind of sucks in laning phase now. Like the damage bonus early is like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is
+5
whether
or
you
one.
can get through that 15 to 25 minute phase, right?
The thing is, they're gonna 5-man, right?
Yeah.
What
yeah.
can PL do against
You have a
that?
Kunkka for high ground defense though.
Yeah,
Like,
and the Undying.
yeah, I think their high ground defense is pretty decent.
It can definitely work.
All right,
I
I
actually
think
like
it's
it.
more. It's
All
much
right.
more even than the last
You
game.
guys, more even?
More even.
Are you all going for LGD though? That's the question.
I'm still going LGD.
I think they will fail 1 or 2 high ground pushes because they've been playing quite sloppy the last game. So I actually
good
think
point.
the PL will carry them.
Okay.
All right, so
man.
you're thinking Optic. What do you want to do, Gods?
Oh God, I don't know.
It's a tough one.
Black, should I go with you?
Who's
Alan,
more
should I
convincing?
go with you?
Who's more convincing?
Neither of you is convincing. You're both telling me not to go with you.
I think it's a very even draft.
I'll
game.
go with LGD.
Okay.
All right. Well, 2 for LGD, 1 for Optic. At least that is more for Optic than it was in the previous game. But we're going to find out what's going to happen in the second game of the upper bracket finals of Group D. It is over to Trent and Zayori.
Thank you very much, Sheever. Game number 2 set to commence. Trent, how we feeling about the drafts here?
Jeez, I don't know if that was a panel or a fence over there. What was God sitting on? Like, geez, could not make up his mind. That last pick, very tense. And, like, there wasn't a lot of time either for Optic, right? You're like, what do we do? Oh, my God, there's a storm. We don't know how to control. Do we pick Void? They have Naga. They're going to song if we chrono. Oh, my God. That's kind of what's running through my head. PBD, though, I think he's done this drafting thing a few times.
Yeah.
So maybe he's got that mellow face. You know, he's relaxed. He picks the Podcat PL.
Yeah, and I really agree with Nahaz, actually. I think the Void seems really tempting, but they've got 3 ranged cores. You've got Song of the Siren. You've even got a Fiend's Grip on top of that, a Nightmare to help break things up. Not an easy Void game by any stretch. And I also think Black is very right. If they can make it to that late game, this PL can take off and become a serious nuisance. So this is one of those classic Drow on a timer type lineups, and it's going to come down to execution. Can LGD do it?
Here's my problem, though. I'm never going to go against the FY Naga. It's not happening.
Okay.
If they pick that hero and they get it, I'm just going to go for LGD. I don't even need to see the rest of it.
It's a little hard to disagree with that, especially in
too
the last
clutch.
game. He's very sneaky.
He didn't
with
even
this
have to
hero.
use the meter hammer.
And there were so many times in that game where it was just positioning to, okay, the BKB's done, ensnares at the perfect time. Like, he knows all of the limitations of this hero really to a disgusting amount of detail.
When you watch all of their games, 2 things stand out, like the Naga play and the Clockwork play. And the reason why is because the vision aspect that you add. I think Naga's by far his best hero. Big fan, but I like the way that they sometimes go to the Clockwork when it's banned out because he can still control a lot of the game by using the Flare. He's constantly like pushing waves, he's scouting out the Roche Pit, and he does the same thing with his illusions. So, just hard to disagree. But PPD, the Undying. I know a lot of people are very excited about this hero, right? All the strength changes, that means that anyone who steals strength and pumps it up on top of themselves, well, they must be a better hero now. A capitalist won't shut up about it.
Yeah.
So we got ourselves an Undying.
There has been a lot of chatter about Undying in the green room. I'll definitely give you that one. Now, we have seen some lane rotations here. X-Nova has rotated down bottom, and Chalice has actually come back up top. So basically not a bad lane for the Mirana in this game. You've either got Potom Naga or Potom Bane, both of those pretty classic combos.
Yeah, and there's kind of a cute little counter in this game, too, with the attack speed bonus that Chalice will be getting, right? From the leap, you can just instantly take down a tombstone really quickly.
Yeah.
That's something that you kind of want up against Undying. There's also even, like, the emergency situation. You used to see it against, like, Pugna sometimes, too, with the Naga Song. If there's a really bad tombstone and the fight looks bad, when you song, you can still kill tombstone. You can still kill Nether Ward. Those things are not invulnerable.
That's a really good point.
The Naga Siren's actually, like, a pretty decent counter.
Yeah. Not that you'll often use Naga Siren
Not specifically, but it's in the team fight.
But it's an added bonus there when you have that little moment of just clicking it down. Very much understood there. So Drow Ranger and Bane, kind of that off-lane duo for LGD in this bottom lane. And not an easy start for Ame. Only one last hit here in the first couple minutes.
Yeah, maybe not an ideal start. CCC's got to be feeling a little salty now. I know he's throwing out those messages. He's putting out those tips.
Yeah.
And now he's up against the Somnus Stormspear trying to outdo him on the hero he was just on.
Yeah.
Kunkka notorious, though, right? I mean, this guy, no one likes laning against this hero, realistically.
No.
So irritating.
It is definitely that hard counter against Mirana, as they were talking about, but pretty good against Storm for pretty much the same reason. You have that catch, the guaranteed stun, and yeah, the pressure he puts out on lane. Very different from the Dragon Knight, but has that similar, you think he's melee, it's not going to be that bad, then all of a sudden, you're like, well, this harass is a bit more than I signed up for.
Yeah, the one thing is that once Storm is 6, it's pretty hard to hit your X stuff, right? Obviously, you can't pull him back when he's zipping, and so you have to kind of play with his mana pool and everything.
Yeah, definitely more effective against the Potom, but still not bad to have against Storm Spirit, though.
Have you seen the current damage bonus for everyone? It is 3. Drow. Wow, what a hero these days.
Epic.
3 bonus damage for that ranged lineup.
Well,
terrifying.
How the mighty have fallen. But don't worry, Trent. It's still going to scale just fine, and she'll become that big, hard-hitting force later on. Somnus has picked up a double damage ring, so a small bout of luck there, making his mid lane experience just a bit easier and actually staying a step ahead. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Sleep set up onto Zai. X-Nova getting some good right clicks in here. Does still have a Brain Sap. Zai with a nice split earth. It's not going to be enough to stay alive. Meanwhile, CC&C gets the first blood on Somnus.
Got it. Oh, there's the tips. Yeah, lay it up. Thank you, Mr. Carey. Okay, he's firing back already.
Yep.
Nice and low up top, too, as well. PPD just kind of, we got 16 stacks, 7 charges, kind of want to bait in PSG.LGD. They're not falling for it, though.
Yep. Remember how that last game went, though. Optic had a pretty good laning
Rotation
phase. They're
mid,
going to go
though.
in onto Somnus. This is the time when you need to pick on this Storm Spirit. Nothing he can do. You need one more. Make it two. He's sipping the bottle, and Somnus actually lives. They're going to turn it the other way, perhaps.
he's too early in the
X-Nova trying to get the
tiebreaker.
right clicks. And he will kill CC and C. Elsewhere, PPD goes down, but X-Nova might still fall to Zai. They're going to try to trade back and forth, but that brain sap up in a couple seconds. Zai knows better of it and will back up. So 2 kills now coming out for PSG.LGD.
CC&C went for this like perfect timing attempt, but he was just a hair too early, looking for that cleave to catch maybe under the tower, because he wasn't going home. He's still there, and now CC coming through. He's got to run.
Visibility rune on the Bane. Top lane.
Pretty low though on X-Nova. He's gonna try something on Zai here. Brain sap, couple right clicks, nightmare. It's gonna be close.
Don't think he's gonna have this.
Oh, maybe he got
it. Zai
All right.
couldn't fog it. Takes a couple of tower shots, and up top now they get a kill the other way. Chalice falls to PPD. So a lot of action trading up top.
A lot of trades with the tips as well though. Back and forth here.
I mean, you got to work on your battle pass.
That's true. You know, these majors are important, but battle pass is a little more important.
See, the major, it lasts a week. The battle pass, that lasts a few months.
That's the value play right there.
2-3. Optic holding on to a very small lead here, but mid lane again, that's where the action's at. Somnus set up a pawn, only level 5, no zip to safety. Does have a stick, some bottle charges, and a salve. This time, is he going to live? Not quite. They've got the damage. Zai will find the kill.
A lot of classics in this here match. Bane, Mirana, a Storm Spirit feeding relentlessly before level 6. This feels like Dota 2.
Yes, it truly does. Pycat in some trouble. Ensnare into Arrow, the old classic. And it'll be another kill up for the Dire, 4-3. PPD kind of in an awkward spot here, deep in the tree line.
He's just gonna walk on out. He's undying, you know. Bane went the other way.
All right, steals a little more strength. Is he going to be good here? I don't know. Ensnare into Arrow. He's beefy, but not that beefy,
Zai
Trent.
cannot find the splitter. He just pumped things like 4 of them.
I mean, it's hard. LGD were kind of toying with him there, acting like they were close enough and then spreading out. And now Zai's going to get left behind. They'll get another one. Pycat, pretty low on options, does not have Doppelganger skilled up yet. So Ensnare, very effective, and the double Star Storm from Chalice makes it a 3-0 up top. LGD reclaiming some momentum.
Yeah, tried the blocks with the illusion there against the arrows, but not enough, and that's already an earn going the way of this Naga Siren.
Mid lane. Storm Spirit able to zip. So, yeah, not quite that same counter against the bottom like we were talking about, but down bottom lane, Clockwork, it's a solo kill on Ame, and I was just going to remark, 33, not a hero we've checked in on much because there's been so much action elsewhere, but he's 32 and 20 in terms of last hits and denies. He is owning this bottom lane.
A lot of those denies, of course, cogs.
Yes.
Don't want to get ahead of ourselves,
true.
but the
That is
last
true.
hits are very nice. There's no doubt. And look at that drought, 9.
Yep.
That's not a bug, ladies and gentlemen.
And she might just die again here. 33 level 7 compared to the level 4 Drow Ranger. It's a maxed out battery assault. As soon as it connects on her, she can't do anything.
And he's got a Vanguard. Like, this is the core Clockwork. So important to get that kill right away at level 6. And at the same time, this build from Ame is just, he only has the ring. So he's not boosting with like a multiple Wraith Bands or anything like that, so it's not helping out the rest of his team. The Aura is currently still at 8 at 7 minutes. It's like you pick these all-range lineups and you kind of expect a little bit of a boost during your laning stage, but
It does feel a little lackluster. Again, Somnus initiated on, this time low on resources, gets pulled back, and PPD finding credit for this one. Very topsy-turvy game here. Lots of action in the lanes, but it is Optic that are coming out ahead, not only because of that Clockwork, but I'm a little worried about this Drow Ranger. Again, you know, we say this about a lot of cores, but Drow definitely one so momentum-based. Never does this hero look good playing from behind.
yeah, and Clockwork's always been kind of this big counter to the hero, but in the core role especially, if you can get rolling on the Clockwork, it feels fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good positioning from Ame next to this range creep to try to intercept in case 33 does hookshot across. FY scouts it out, so seems they will put some stock into this bottom lane to make sure this Drow doesn't fall too far behind.
They knew he was up there from the Observer Ward.
Oh, yeah.
Just lurking nearby.
So even just having FY down here makes it a lot harder for the Clockwork to run into pressure. Meanwhile, mid lane, Storm able to zip back again as the boat from CC&C flies through.
So he's going to know he's hill vision there, right? that ward up on the high ground because he was trying to just catch maybe in the river or something with like this boat torrent random combo.
Yep. Smoke now across the river. Xnova and Chalice headed down towards the bottom lane. He's going to open up the top for Pycat to get a little bit of free farm. 33, hook shot forward. This is looking to be like another kill for him if he can close the gap, but FY just barely slithers away. Chalice misses the arrow. PPD finishes off that kill, but it looks like 33 may finally go down, and he does. PPD trying to do what he can with these decays, but it's a 3-on-1. They spread. They've got the right clicks.
Oh, he also commits the 3rd-point decay there to try and survive.
That's a bit unfortunate, perhaps. No tombstone for PPD. Set up onto Zai, Nightmare right into Arrow. Easy peasy, and Chalice takes the layup right into a taunt.
Now, last game it was Optic who were taking the very heavy lead. I think it was like 14-4 at one point. Now trading much more evenly, 10-7, and a lot of the later kills going on the side of LGD. So it's going to start heading their way. But what's been happening in the land of no kills? I mean, Pycat's farming away. He's top of the last hits, but because of all the kills, the net worth is going the way of Mirana. 5-1-2 here for Chalice. I mean, we're just passing this Mirana around. And everybody wants a chance.
Yeah. And the Kunkka still farming very nicely. And we've seen how much pressure this hero can put down. He does have Drum of Endurance on the way. Still has a bit of farming to do, but great core item there. Somnus just looking for some space in the jungle so he can start to recover as well from the amount of pressure he's taken mid. Double damage rune bottom. Fill up that bottle.
Well, we have this hook shot ready, and you have a core clockwork. You want to get kills. But obviously the last one didn't go too well, with FY just kind of lurking off to the side, and PPD had to secure it, but he needs that little partner, and Zai's just not at the same level as last time.
There it is. 33 scouts it, hook shot in, but gets silenced. Arrow actually off the mark, just barely able to sidestep it inside of his own cogs. Will be a quick pick on the Bane, but it's also a big rotation from Optic. 4 heroes now in this bottom lane.
Yeah, and it's only the support. They don't get the core kill, but still, it is important. 3-3 just trying to stay relevant. He's going for that soul ring. Maybe those level 1 cogs hurting him in terms of the mana, of course, recently changed, but he has no no urn or anything yet. You know, had to pass it off to Zai in this game. It's something for his mana pool.
I think it was a much needed change for Clockwork. Now cogs, not that same 1-point wonder they used to be when it was 50, 40 or 50 mana at level 1. And now all the way up to 80, just consistent at all 4 levels. Definitely a fan of that change.
CC&C, similarly in terms of like putting on that pressure and trying to get kills, you wouldn't mind if your Kunkka was going around the map getting some kills with their bow. But not able to find that because of the Storm Spirit and the general elusiveness of the hero. Can't combo up with the X. And in a lot of the best games from, well, they're wrapping around here. I don't want to cut myself off, but...
Well, it looks like this will be initiated upon. Xnova comes in onto the Kunkka. Both does fly through, does not connect with much. Now the hook shot from 33 onto the Bane again, stuck inside of the cogs. Trying to heal himself back up. This time the arrow connects. Xnova will not live, but they get the counter kill on the Clockwork. Nice silence on 2 from the Drow Ranger, but a nice stun on 2 from Zai back the other way. Not enough. CC&C going to be the next to fall. It's a 1 for 3, soon to be 4. The Leshrac does get popped. LGD just like that with a big reaction mid.
These
Wipe
early
up
fights are so important, and instantly that gets the PPT. I love it. Nice draft. I don't know. But
they are giving a lot of space to Pycat. I think that is the one opportunity cost of LGD's plays. And that is going to happen. The PL is going to find some space to farm. It's something they need to be wary of.
But it feels so good when these fights with the Drow lineup. Because you're like, okay, it's working. You know, we got our strat going. Ame's starting to give at least 30 damage now. Okay, the days of 8 are gone.
Yeah.
Feeling a lot better. But in terms of these Kunkka games, so lately some of the best Kunkka games have come from when they're just like snowballing mid, destroying someone, every single boat, it feels like a kill. But when you don't have those games, one of the better games lately was actually from Fnatic. When they gave it to Abed, I want to say it was versus Optic actually, but anyway, what they did was they utilized the Ancients. And they were just stacking them up like crazy, and this Kunkka just got completely out of control. Hasn't been an option for Optic so far this game. He doesn't have like the early armlet or anything to abuse it, so without a lot of kills and without Ancient stacks, there's this worry that CC&C is going to start falling behind.
Absolutely. Pressure on this mid tier 1 tower. Arrow from Chalice off the mark, but set up on the PPD perhaps. Both Torrent gonna fly in. Does not connect on any dire heroes. Instead, it's a Fiend's Grip onto the Undying. PPD will go down. On the other side, Somnus gets picked by 33 in the river. Alongside
that
Zai.
is way more important. Excellent.
Yes.
All right, so that's a win for Optic then.
Looks like maybe another hook shot. Just watching that mid-fight. Pycat going for a very standard build here. Treads, Aquila, and just right into Diffusal Blade. Mana burn, big damage. Now PL is #1 on network.
Yeah, and by the time he's ready to go to the Diffusal Blade, 3-3, not a lot of options this game. It's a Drow strat, so he went right into the Crimson Guard. Here's a replay here, and don't look too close to the boat. Try and avert your eyes. We're looking at the Undying instead. Yeah, just ignore that. Beautiful picture, of course. Show the splitter kill.
Well done indeed. Somnus has the Kaya now, level 12.
Now he's not going right in towards the Orchid. He's eyeing up a Bloodstone.
Interesting. And we were just saying how we don't see Bloodstone on that many heroes. Like Corlesh is one of the main ones.
Yep.
Even Storm, it doesn't feel like Bloodstone is the go-to item straight away in every game.
Yeah,
anymore.
it definitely feels like Treads, Kaya into Orchid is the way to go.
Yeah.
But
an easier build-up as well. You just get a little more out of it. However, Pycat in the top lane.
they're
they
so
gonna try
close to
set something
Diffusal.
up?
If they take this fight right now and the Diffusal gets here in time, this is going to be so good for Optic. He's just sitting at the side shop looking to get it.
Oh, 5 gold short. They can't find him. Now Pycat gets bumped into, but the Bane is not nearby. And, of course, that's the one that they want to set up with.
Yeah, now
Does
it
have
comes on its way.
Doppelganger. And Pycat's going to be just fine. So 15-10. How's our Drow Ranger doing? Looks like it's been a hot minute since we checked in on Ame. And just a Bracer, Treads, and trying to go for a Maelstrom. So again, the double Maelstrom strat from LGD. Mirana has the same thing queued up, coming after her Drum of Endurance.
Man, they're all in on this Maelstrom.
Yeah.
No Agi, but the damage already up to 45. Not a big deal. 41 on Strength Treads.
Yeah, and she'll be level 12 reasonably soon, just about 11. So a little bit extra damage going to be coming there. Wow, such a chaotic laning stage, but now things have quieted down a little bit. TPD gets jumped on mid. Somnus hops out of the fog with an ensnare, dies in the blink of an eye. And a little more progress now towards that Bloodstone. 33, maybe looking for a hook shot, but Moonlight Shadow's been used. Lots of pings coming. FY gets that ward down on the high ground, moves into fog. Clockwork not going to be able to find him. Well played.
Yeah, they might just get away with that one, too.
Looks like it won't be scouted, at least for now.
Really deep wards here. From both teams, honestly, there's a little bit of a line here from the Radiant, a little bit of a line here from the Dire. Just trying to get an idea as to where we're split across the map from each side. Where can we apply some tower pressure? Scary to go for these tower pushes as the Dire side, even with this lead. I mean, it's barely a lead, but you got a lot of defensive options. The hook shot, the tombstones, and the Kunkka.
Snare mid now on the CC. Boat flies in and will connect on the Nagasara. This is pulled back. She does have a song, but not going to be able to get it off in time. That cast point a little bit too long. No tier 1 tower to stay safe under. They do make it back to the tier 2. 33 on the high ground, looking for a hook shot, but LGD very wise, not giving him the angle as they moved to their high ground near the Dire Ancients. Okay, well, they dodged that out pretty effectively.
Yeah, it looked like they were almost just trying to bait them in further and like last possible moment sort of a song. Obviously not working out there as not quite able to get it off in the end. But the turnaround potential maybe a little bit lacking there in terms of like the heroes and where they were set for LGD. So perhaps just deciding it wasn't going to be worth it for such a long cooldown right now. Is the hook shot there on X Nova. Easy arrow coming through though to defend him. And I think
See you later. Oh, survived a little longer than planned. The Crimson Guard's pretty darn good. He still falls, but they get Chalice in return. Fiend's Grip over on Pycat. X-Nova is going to get left behind. He'll get brought down, and it does end as a favorable trade for Optic.
Yeah, on mid lane, these two are just duking it out. So they'll go their separate ways, though. But yeah, Pycat, he's come online. He got himself the Diffusal Blade, got a little involved there, down dirty. 731 kill just went, 731 gold just went over CC&C, so that's instantly Shadow Blade. Very important for them right now.
Oh, yeah.
What is FY up to? Up here all by himself, sending some illusions, just scanning. This is him again, doing his little, oh, I'm just an illusion. I'm going to stand. Look, he's not even attacking. He's standing still, doing his thing.
Don't mind me. Casual illusion here. Oh, wait, that one didn't die.
He's so cheeky.
Really is. And it's obnoxious because even if you know he does this, he runs around with multiple pairings of illusions. Here's another set coming in, so you're always thinking to yourself, are these illusions or are these real? It's the constant mind games. Just make your enemies think twice.
No,
It's a different form of space created.
Indeed. Secure the bomb tower. Now they're going to smoke up with 3 in the mid lane. Hook shot ready. Shadow Blade ready. Boat ready to go.
Yep.
But, yeah, and there was no vision over on that part. However, they have a lot of vision inside the Radiant jungle, and they see no one. So I think they're kind of aware something's up. Dire are scanning north, though. Okay, so they're like, are they defending that tower? Because if they're not there, then they must be somewhere inside our own part.
I mean, this is a pretty good read from LGD.
They're gonna
if they
see
get
this
away
flare,
with it.
too.
Goes right into Roche, and it gets scouted out. Now, do they commit or do they back out? It'll be the latter. I think that's certainly the right call. You do not want to get hit by a multi-hero boat, the Kunkka, while you're trapped in the
And
pit.
when you see that angle of the flare coming into the pit, you're like, okay, they are behind us.
So, curious what you think about this build from PPD, though, Trent. No Tombstone whatsoever. We were talking about how Naga Siren can be pretty good at shutting down the tomb, but almost surprised to see it just completely ignored, as it's such a key aspect of this hero in so many games.
Yeah, I think they don't have a lot of stuns as well, though. And that's kind of the thing that would like slow you down so not dying, you know what I mean?
Yep, well, we'll hold that thought, though, for a moment as CC&C goes in for an initiation, but it might go back the other way. Hook shot from 33, but an instant gust. It just feels like they don't have any damage to turn this around. On the backside, they find one, and it's the big boy. It's Pycat, the kill they really wanted. And they get more. Zip across. Somnus wants to go in on 33. The arrow connects. Zai doing what he can, but it's going to be 3 down. Make it 4. Soon to be 5. A full 5-man wipe goes the way of PSG.LGD. Right into the Roche pit we go.
Man, that was not even a fight.
I know.
It was just...
It just looked like 5 solo pickoffs.
Yeah, it was completely picked apart there.
I mean, Pycat did 0 damage. He was full to 0, Fiend Script dead.
And you have the song breaking up part of the fight. You've got the zipping Storm Spirit going wherever they want. People just dying over by the shrine. And no central point for Optic to really find themselves and fight around. The hookshot was used kind of defensively. The boat was used defensively just as like a buff over himself for CC&C. Didn't start well, did not end well for Optic. And there's the replay here. You can kind of see just why this all fell apart. He gets caught out up on the high ground. He had a Shadow Blade, maybe trying to like scout ahead. Then it's like a defensive hookshot. He's trying to walk back. You got 2 heroes here. Meanwhile, over on the left-hand side, like, oh, who's that? Oh, Storm Spirit's just jumping in, and well, we found Pycat.
It's a PL.
He's important, isn't he?
Yeah, like, well, we're playing around with this Kunkka clockwork, but the PL is really all we wanted to begin with. And then they realize this opportunity is there and that PPD is sort of isolated on the low ground, can't even get up to use that soul rip and heal his friends. Pretty convincing fight.
Yeah, and so that means now Pycat, he has his Shadow Blade. CC&C has his Shadow Blade. Maybe we can like find some fights. Like Drow lineups kind of notoriously, they want to like group up or something, but there's a little bit of splitting. So I guess they're thinking that if we can split push a bit with our Shadow Blades, you know, we can kind of avoid this big ball. Maybe we can catch in behind on Drow Ranger. A bit risky, but that's their attempt here. And he was thinking of like a Vanguard, and he still kind of has it queued up there for the PL.
Interesting thought. Certainly some merit to that against the Drow Ranger, but might be a little bit too defensive. We will see a smoke rotation, but one the other way, as now this fight does indeed break out. Oh no, FY goes down first, but Zai very low. The boat on the backside. It's a very split up fight.
Not too bad. They're cleaning him up.
Drow, yeah, it's looking pretty good for Optic here, Trent.
They've got the chase too with the X, and even just like flares coming up from clockwork. Very hard to get away.
Okay. Another one of these fights where both teams approach from kind of opposite angles. And smoke on top of the Moonlight Shadow. The Naga Siren was just not the hero they wanted to lose first. If she could have gotten off the song there, completely different
It was
fight.
still on CD.
It just came up right as she died.
Exactly.
Okay, my bad. My bad.
It's just like the Shadow Blade's coming through. If they reveal and suddenly song's there, yes, it's just over. It's bad, but those options weren't available for them for the side of LGD.
Chalice. Okay, makes it back to the high ground with a leap.
And Storm goes on some ups here.
And he's going to find Pycat first, but still a lot of enemies nearby. There's the Doppelganger. Pycat getting healed up by the Soul Rip, but PPD going to head for the hills. It looks like they will just leave their PL. The TP's mass exodus will be successful.
His illusion bait did not work quite as well.
No,
he did the stand perfectly still, move the other Doppelganger 100%. It's like, oh, hope they net the other one, but FY correct in his guess and even chased after the Doppelganger just in case.
16 Bloodstone charges, Trent. Somnus Getting that momentum, soon to be level 18. An Arcane Rune on top of that. Now Orchid's queued up. This Storm Spirit is becoming a serious threat.
Yeah, he's just like trying to build up as many charges as he can while he was his Aegis too. Feels so safe.
Yeah, absolutely. So both Maelstroms up, and now Force Staff for the Drow Ranger. Gotta love that bottom taunt, so adorable.
Sounds like Christmas music almost. Very festive.
The holidays. Some pressure down bottom, tier 2. And maybe some split push. Optic are pretty grouped up here in the top lane. But I don't know that you want to do that split push game against the Drow lineup here. PSG pressuring this tower pretty hard, and Optic will just start making the movements down. Not going to hand this tower over for free. Kunkka also starting to close in on the BKB. He's about halfway there. And they still have the Fiends grip, of course, but
Feels like they're just so reliant on this kind of awkward initiations. If it's not 3-3 in the clockwork, it's like a Shadow Blade in or something, or just the reach of CC&C, which, I don't know. So much of it is based on invisibility. There's so much pressure on 3-3. And he had to go, like, there's no choice pretty much this game. It's a Drow lineup. He had to buy a Crimson Guard. So he has no Force Staff. He doesn't have, like, some unique item as a core to try and, like, change this game.
Song of the Siren. So Drow will get hit by the boat, but the Song breaks up the fight. Hook shot in. They've killed Zai on the backside. Instant buyback there. Arrow flies across, going to be off the mark. PSG kind of splitting up as Naga gets pulled back. The dust is used as they're all invisible, and she will get left behind. So
we got some weird fights this game.
yeah. So
I mean, did you see where someone just got the kill on
like
Zai?
the tier 2.
It was like
It's
tier
way
2.
back.
Yeah.
So with the buyback, it's actually not that bad for LGD. And now
he's
maybe
going on
Somnus
Peter.
can grab one. He's feeling brave. He does get pulled back into a Torn. Remember, he has the Aegis here. Now out of mana, but if he ends up going down, it won't feel too bad. Sipping that bottle. He's good.
Yeah.
Showing us how little control they actually have. Now back up top, CC&C clipped by an arrow. Chalice might find a solo kill here. He's just leaping all over the place. The boat did get queued up. This bottom is just out of control. 33 has to use a point-blank hook shot. It saves PPD, but boy, was that close. That was a 1-on-3, and he still kills the Kunkka.
Ends up being totally worth it, though. So, well done.
Very interesting plays. I feel like if I had to summarize this game in a word, it would be chaos. That is how these fights have gone. It's just been these really big, very widespread engagements with a lot of these little micro pickoffs. Storm jumping into the back line, boats flying through. I will say LGD has played around the Kunkka boat very effectively. I wouldn't say it's a non-factor, but it's been very difficult for CC&C to get off these combos.
I feel like that's partially because there's not a lot of AoE follow-up to the Naga song. You know, the absolute classic Nagas, especially most recently, has been Disruptor and it's been Jakiro. And you know, you catch 3 heroes in the song, you lay down that Ice Path, the Macro Pyre, fight's just totally over. Even when these songs happen to kind of break up the engagement, they kind of have to just pick like one target. They throw an arrow, maybe they can get like a gust on 1 or 2 or something, but it's like, okay, I'm going to Fiend's Grip him. Okay, I'm going to arrow him. And that's kind of creating that little bit of unique, like, skirmish, like, 1v1 situations.
Yeah, very single target focused team fight, which sounds kind of oxymoronic to say, but that's kind of what we're faced with here in this game.
Their damage is AoE with these Maelstroms and Mjolnirs, though.
That's for sure. One Mjolnir and the second one on the way from Rana. She stopped off for a BKB, but now that Hyperstone recipe are queued up. Mid lane, BKB gets popped. Chalice says, hey, you want to party? Let's go, boys. He jumps right in there. The rest of his team inbound. Tombstone comes down. Orchid out onto Zai. 33 jumps into the back line. Nice cogs to break it up, and Optic still have their entire team alive, but the same is the case for LGD. Song of the Siren, there it is. Sets up, connects on all 5, but what do? Is this a disengage? Or do they try to take the fight? Seems it'll be the former, but Storm Spirit zips in. He wants PPD, and he'll find it. No control as he zips back up to the high ground. It'll just be a dead undying after all that.
Bit of a cheeky play for the extra Bloodstone charge, but it works out.
It just feels like LGD is in the driver's seat, Trent.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. Even when Optic, that looks like a good fight for them, and then the song happens and they don't even get anything out of it, and you still feel good about LGD. I don't know if it's just because of the last game, or maybe it's because the PL hasn't really felt like he's flexing, man. Like,
I think it's because of the Storm Spirit. Somnus has had a pretty good game, 7-4 and 7, so he has died a couple times, but it just feels like in a lot of these team fights, the Storm is the one that they're struggling to control. And yeah, it's a back and forth, it's a break even, but as soon as he finds that opening, he's just picking off the back line.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I meant about like 3-3 not being able to itemize into this like unique item. Like sometimes you get a Clockwork and he just buys an Orchid because you need something, you know?
Yep.
Sometimes the game's just kind of weird, but he felt really pressured to get the Crimson, and now he feels like he needs the Pipe to survive, and no one else can kind of itemize that way. They don't really have a mid-hero that can go for that. You know, you're a Conquer. You have to build this giant splash dam. You can't build a real control element to try and do something against the Storm Spirit. And likewise for a PL, like, sure, maybe eventually you get like an Abyssal or something, but I mean, this is a PL. Not exactly a high priority item, so that puts a lot of pressure on 3-3 or one of these supports who they're not going to get it. And I feel like maybe 3-3 just had to kind of go out there on something, because they have no answer to Storm still. And that's acceptable in your draft, but it's not really acceptable in your itemization.
Definitely agreed there, my friend. Manta style up on Pycat, so pretty poor on the PL. He did stop off of that Shadow Blade, as we mentioned, so really slowed down the timing of his Manta, but keeps him safe against the Orchid, and use up the Butterfly as our next item.
You know, that's the failsafe, right? We're looking at Pycat. Can he carry this game to a point where it's just ridiculous?
Eventually, but I mean, MKB is not a bad item on Potom, certainly not a bad item on Drow, and yeah, not your go-to on Storm Spirit, but I mean, at that point, you don't even really need it, I don't think. They can handle this Butterfly, no problem.
Sure, but then you think about like a Drow strat in terms of the high ground. And when you think of a Drow strat going high ground successfully, it's like 25 minutes or something.
Poor
right
CCNC.
Now, yeah, that was a little depressing. But we're at 30 minutes right now, and there's still 2 tier 2s. And then the Roche, I mean, they haven't taken the second Roche for the Aegis and the Cheese yet. That's something that they're going to need for LGD to go high ground. There is decent defense here. They're going to have the angles coming in from the boat, from the hook shot, just even the Tombstone. And then you still have to try and like lock down this PL. So I don't think Optic are completely out of this one, honestly. It feels like there's a little bit of pressure on LGD. Yes, they're in control, but they have to be, or it feels like this game might get away from them.
Yeah, no doubt. See another fight break out here, perhaps. CCNC catches the initiation onto the Storm Spirit, but of course he's able to zip away. The arrow, not going to connect. And that'll be the end of it. Okay. Shiva's Guard queued up on the Storm. Going for a little more survivability. And Drow just wants the BKB. No Hurricane Pike, just a Force Staff, and now going into Magic Immunity.
Yeah. And you get that in time with your Aegis high ground, that's what's great.
Somnus goes in. CCNC, they force out the BKB.
He's out of mana on Somnus.
They're actually going to commit to this fight. Somnus in a lot of trouble. Defensive Nightmare buys him a little bit of time, perhaps, trying to zip back. CCNC still alive, but he lives. Beautiful Song of the Siren. FY living up to that reputation as they use the Potom ult and head back to safety.
How does he live?
A complete disengage. Do they go back? Storm, who's actually healed up quite a bit, zips in looking for one, doesn't find it, but Zai's up on the high ground. They're going to find him here. Chalice with the arrow, it connects, and that's going to be the freebie they were hoping for.
Bloodstone charges.
I can't believe he lived. It doesn't get much closer than that, Trent.
That is so tilting as a player on Optic, you know?
Yes.
Oh, that's painful to watch. Honestly. So now we'll go into the pit. We know they need this. Optic knows they need this, but there's no song, so they could fight this. And it looks like they're going to respect that from LGD's side.
Yeah, LGD do kill it very quickly, but to make the right call, Potom gets pulled back, and Chalice probably going to go down here. It's a quick pick for Optic. That levels it out and absolutely repels LGD from the pit.
I feel like that's straight in the pit.
For Optic?
Yeah. I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, doesn't seem like it. Song of the Siren up in 52, so still quite a while. It feels so risky, though. If Optic go in there and then they get wiped, if that Storm Spirit jumps in, they get wiped and then they lose the Roche, I think this game's just over.
Yeah, and they don't know that Mirana has no buyback either. So they go in the pit, Mirana buys back, she throws one arrow from Shrine, and that fight gets real hectic quickly.
I would feel very nervous about making that kind of play if I were Optic. I think here they're far enough behind now that they need to be a little more cautious. They need to find those kind of pickoffs like they did on the Mirana and use that to get back into this game.
If it wasn't for the Clockwork, I think they would feel way more pressure to go for it. But they're going to have that flare coming all the time.
Zai going to get caught again here.
20.
Somnus just feeling somewhat unstoppable at the moment. Well, Roche still standing and about 2/3 HP now, so regen's pretty darn quick.
Yeah, FY has the song back, though. So it's time for us to start discussing Roche as a team.
I think
That's what they're
LGD
saying.
might just go on in here. And with the Lesh dead, even just forcing a Lesh buyback is kind of value count. The arrow actually
Where's the
misses
flare?
Roche. So that was
Here comes the floor.
fine.
Yeah, they're coming. They
It's
know.
going to be too late. Aegis Cheese, and there's the Song of the Siren just for good measure. The boat does actually connect on Somnus. Of course, he is the Aegis carrier now. Moonlight Shadow for the retreat. There's a Sentry Ward down, but they make it out of range. And just like that, PSG.LGD get away with the Roshan. Aegis and Cheese up. Also, the BKB on Drow. Ags queued up next, Trent.
Yeah, still 10 seconds for Ame. Hasn't even had to pop it yet. And yeah, they all love the Maelstroms, the Mjolnirs, but one reason we used to see the Maelstroms and Mjolnirs was the Tesla Drow. That Aghanim Scepter is disgusting with this item.
Yeah,
It is something else.
it's really good.
It's a real show. It's the laser show. Pink Floyd would be proud.
Yep, they sure would. There's that marksman agility and just that 50% cooldown reduction left on the Drow Ranger. An amazing level 25 talent for that hero.
This reminds me of the game earlier from VGJ Thunder where they just kind of like never went high ground. They just kept choking them out, you know, with the Lycan and everything. They took over the whole map and they just didn't go high ground. They just said, you know what, there's one way you get back into this, so we're just not. No thanks. We'll pass. And if they're going to get back into this from Optic, we've seen it before with the 3/3 Darks here, performing masterfully. The Crit of Destiny potentials coming out from CCNC as well.
Yep, hook shot actually intercepted by creeps there in the mid, but on the other side it's Undying, getting isolated by Somnus again. So obnoxious as he just zips around with the Orchid, now going in onto Zai. Might get caught here as he's clipped by a Torrent. But Zai gets killed now. Chalice with the BKB. He jumps into the fray. 33 is going to get brought down. The cheese gets eaten. Remember, Somnus still has that Aegis, and CCNC's BKB will keep him alive. There was another little fight going on in the top. Looks like X-Nova going to bump into Pycat. He's going to be all alone here.
Yeah, he's going to pass it off very quickly.
TP out. X-Nova is not going to live. Ends up being kind of an awkward death, but he does keep the PL out of the base a little bit longer. So this is now more time for LGD to pressure this bottom tier 3. Buyback from Clockwork. Glyph gets used, but the tier 3 100% dead. They go in onto 33. This is fresh off the buyback. Could be a dieback here. The soul burn going to be more than enough. Pycat back in the base trying to do this fight as best he can, but Optic in big trouble. This could be the end of game 2. All the buybacks are starting to come, but PPD goes down. They'll destroy the Tombstone on top of it. It is going to be a 4v3. Both heroes in the grave for Optic do not have buybacks. And LGD now 25k ahead. There's going to be a double silence. They're going to bring down the Lesh. Make it 3 down, and this could well be the end. CCNC gets caught. He's going to go down next. It's just Pycat.
Only one left, and well, a little bit of a victory song here.
Oh, hello, Pycat.
I like
Could
this.
I
They
offer
need
you
some
a
tips
cup of
right
tea?
now.
No, sir, you're dead.
Really, they used their tips too early. They should have held them for the end, for the 5-man tip during the song.
Man, LGD are going in with the all chats here as the tier 4s get taken down. Optic going to hang in until the bitter end. The buyback from the PL. A couple of respawns on the way. There will be a hook shot from the Clockwork, so maybe, just maybe, they can break this up. But an instant silence from Ame. He's in the back line doing so much damage. The Radiant in big trouble. They're going to lose the PL. They lose the Undying, and that's it. GG. The series goes 2-0 to PSG.LGD.
Yeah, that is going to be lights out for Optic. There's their hopes in this one. Very nice. That was another enthused practice.
Well, a tough game, a tough series, really, for Optic. But game 2, it felt like LGD were almost toying with them at a point there, especially at the end, of course, with that Song of the Siren, giving them a little bit of the, hey, this is our game. This is our series. You're in my house, and you need to respect my turf.
Yeah, I don't know. The FY Naga, just like stop, please. Yeah. Please stop. I'm surprised that that thing still gets through. But they played in a way that they forced the aggression to come from Optic. They just, again, they didn't really worry about going high ground or anything like that. They just kind of said, okay, we're going to force them to make these hookshot plays, try and get something done, and they all fit.
Absolutely. So, again, maybe with huge damage done. Of course, Somnus, the Storm Spirit, 35k.
We got to talk about the Mirana.
And 35k on Chalice.
Maybe we should play Mirana 2 games in a row.
On different heroes, in different positions.
What's going on?
And still dominated
Is
with
she
her.
a hero?
Apparently, for LGD, but let's toss it back to our panel and see what they think about this series.
Well, I think I'm never going to get tired of the tipping system. I think that was, for me, a very enjoyable portion of this second game. And LGD victorious, so they already seeded into the playoff bracket in the upper bracket where they wanted to be, of course. As for Optic, they will have to play again later today against the winner of Thunder versus Infamous. So we'll see where that takes us. But let's break down the second game. The tipping was, of course, great, but LGD looked a lot more stable. I mean, you were very critical of them, of the first game we saw today, Gods, from them. This was better?
Definitely better. There was still some holes that maybe needed filling there. The Drow had a very rough stop, but that's going to kind of happen. They tried to find the right lane for the Drow, putting the off lane. You know, there's not many good places to go when this Clockwork played as a core is actually a great counter to the Drow pick, but ultimately it wasn't about the Drow. It was about the Storm and even the Mirana. Those two heroes doing like 35k damage each. It's not often you see Chalice play a core Mirana. That's like the least Chalice hero imaginable, but he looked damn good on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was Drow's role in this game. Drow's role in this game is you get to your level 1 and your level 2 ulti, you get that damage bonus onto the other cores during the critical period of the game. If you look at when games are won, especially in this Chinese style of play, it's that 15 to 25 minute period, and that's when you are getting so much damage from Precision Aura.
Drow's kind of like a 3-position hero this game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, more like the Drow. It looked more like a 3-position this game, right?
Yeah.
Like just supporting the other two cores.
Yep.
It really was.
Yeah, and this is also the kind of lineup that a couple of mistakes and the game gets away from you so quickly as Optic. I mean, you see CCNC had a couple of misplays on the Kunkka, I think, and those kinds of mistakes maybe in another game aren't so magnified, but with this kind of a lineup, they just feel so bad.
The problem is they have 2 stuns. Like Clock can stun, but not really. So they have like 2 stuns, and if Kunkka blows his load and it doesn't hit anything, then they don't have anything against the Storm and the Mirana as well, and they just completely crushed them in every team fight. It was very close a couple of times, like Storm 200 health, Mirana 200 health, but they just didn't have the disable to lock him down after the Kunkka missed his spells, or even after he died. Like they have nothing without the Kunkka.
He did get a kill at the start of the game against Storm by himself.
He solo killed.
Wasn't all bad.
What a nightmare save that was on Somnus there. That was such a sick play. X-Nova's Bane this game made like 3 or 4 nightmare plays on himself or teammates to save them or dodge a boat. There it was dodging some spells. That saved the Storm's life. That was when he did not have Aegis. Yep. He was actually insane on a hero that you don't normally think of as being a big playmaker.
It's especially important because you had the Bloodstone at the time.
Yes.
If you die with Bloodstone, it's really bad for you.
So
hence the game with 32 charges.
When we saw Optic play against VP in the last game last week in the grand finals there, they called GG very early on when they saw that there was no chance anymore.